Morning and welcome into another episode of Max Living Radio. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker, and I'm coming to you live from Good Life Family Chiropractic on the south side of Lincoln today. And we are talking about health. We are talking about wellness. We're talking about life and having it to the full. And so today, as always, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Some of you are listening to this post-Christmas. This may be the first time you've heard me. Some of you are listening to this post-New Year, depending on whether you've downloaded the podcast. But wherever you're at, I wish you a healthy and happy holiday. And really, when we're talking about the most dangerous time of year to live in, as far as our health is concerned, the holidays are it. We experience more stress during the holidays than any other time of year. We experience more heart attacks, more strokes. You're more likely to get a cancer diagnosis during the holidays. And it all breaks down to the way that we were created, the laws and principles that God designed for us. And when we violate those laws, it puts us at greater risk of suffering a consequence of violating those laws and principles. Just like if you violate the speed limit, eventually a police officer will pull you over, give you a ticket, and you'll have to pay the consequence, pay the fine for that. And if we violate the law of gravity, eventually we're going to end up on our face. And if we violate the laws of health and healing, then we will have to pay the consequence of sickness and disease. And so I want to teach you a little bit about those laws today. And I want to tell you some stories about patients that have been able to overcome some of those consequences of sickness and disease and avoiding that early death. And so I just want to make sure that we're all edified coming out of this episode today. So if you're watching on Facebook, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. If you're tuning in on podcast, I hope you had a great Christmas as well. So what I wanted to focus on today is really about the health and healing that God has for us. When you think about how God created us in the garden, He created us with eternal bodies to be edified and sustained by the creation that He put around us. But then we violated those laws, and we started just with a simple act of disobedience, choosing to take upon ourselves this knowledge of good and evil instead of trusting God to reveal all of that to us in His own time, in His own way, in His own plan. And then that required the need for a Savior. In Genesis 3, it actually pre-frames Jesus coming back to be our salvation, to bring us back to the Father and restore that relationship. But then man continues to fall in spite of everything that God set up and God continued to do. Man continued to fall such that God decided to send a flood on the earth. And when He sent that flood on the earth, it completely removed this environment designed to sustain us for hundreds, if not almost 1,000 years in some cases. We had Methuselah up there over 965 years of age, Noah 960 years of age, Adam over 900 years old. And this is after the fall. But then after the flood, all of a sudden man's life was limited to about 120 years. And that's where we find ourselves in the research. Genetically, Harvard has found that our life potential inside of our bodies is about 120 years. And yet we don't make it there very often. Our average life expectancy right now is about 78 years old, slightly older if you're a female, slightly younger if you're a male. And most of us are afraid of getting there because by the time we've hit the age of 80, more than half of us are dealing with Alzheimer's and dementia, not to mention heart disease and cancer. And so this is not something that God had in the plans for us, but we're serving as a natural consequence of violating God's laws and principles. Now, before the Christmas break, and a lot of you took a break for the holidays, a lot of you have put off making these good decisions for the holidays. We're waiting for this new year to do a reset. Now is the time for us to actually start to change and edify our minds. In Romans 12:2, it says, "Do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind so that you can test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." And so for the new year, whether you're starting out and you want to set yourself up for success with your health, or you're trying to set up yourself for success with good habits, it all starts with that mindset. And so we have to start there. We have to start by transforming our mindset away from the patterns of this world. What are the patterns of this world? Well, the pattern of this world is to avoid areas of discomfort. Well, let me tell you, nobody ever grew by just staying comfortable. A place of comfort is not a place of growth. In order for you to grow a muscle, it has to undergo strain and effort and even a little breakdown. When you work out in the gym, when you're doing those bicep curls to get that big bulge in those beefy arms, then to get that to actually start to have some definition and cut and grow in strength and capacity, it actually has to break down. There have to be micro tears in the muscle tissue, in the tendon tissue, in order for that to grow and get stronger. And we see that over and over just in my own life. I'm preaching to myself here. I just took the last 3 days off of work, out of the office. We're about to go back in today and hit it hard because I know that you guys need what we're doing in the office in order to get healthier. And so I'm coming back and we're going to be stronger than ever this year. We're going to sit down with my team. And on Monday, we're going to go through the keys to us actually growing and having a better year than we ever had before, increasing our customer service, increasing our accuracy when we're going through and we're diagnosing, increasing our improvements in success, in decreasing treatment times and decreasing wait times, and increasing the rate at which we're seeing improvements. I mean, we just had a patient last week, and I talked to him about him on this last episode. Ryan came into my office, and after about 3 months of care, he had just gone back to his general practitioner to get his annual physical. Now, their annual physical is a little bit different than my physical that we do in our office. My main focus is on the nervous system and looking at the function of the system that controls all other function in the body. But the general practitioners, medical doctors, what they're trained to do is to measure the function of all these different systems in the body. And the one area where they caught a red flag on blood tests and did some additional testing was his thyroid. He had cysts growing on his thyroid, and he had low thyroid levels, low thyroid hormone levels. And so they went in and they told him their concerns, and he really didn't do much. He didn't have a chance to change much. He didn't really take their prescription medication. And so he did come into my office because he was dealing with some low back pain, and I wanted to help him out. And so we started him on a plan to get correction of his entire spine, because the whole thing is related. Even if you're just having low back pain, it could very well be that the problems in your low back are reflected in your neck, because this is an entire one spinal unit, even though it's made up of 24 different spinal segments called vertebra. And so we started looking at everything, and we started to address those things in his spine. And as we did, we actually saw that his overall health improved. By addressing the 5 essentials, his spine got healthier, and he started functioning better, and his thyroid got healthier, such that he just got back from his physical after just 3 months of care in our office, addressing those 5 essentials. And now he no longer has the cysts on his thyroid. His thyroid levels have returned to normal just by implementing the laws and principles of health and healing that we teach and we put into practice in our office. And so if you're dealing with similar issues today, I encourage you to pick up the phone. Our number is 402-413-8825. And by calling today, you will actually receive a 50% discount off of your initial exam and x-rays. And if you set up a follow-up appointment to go over those findings, we'll give you a 50% discount off of the first adjustment in our office as well. And so that's over a $300 value that you'll be getting for less than $100. So call our office right now, 402-413-8825. Or if you're not in a good place to pick up the phone, you can text that number, or you can go to our website, goodlifefamilychiropractic.com, request an appointment from the top of the page, and we'll get back with you to help you set that up just as soon as possible. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to come back, and we're going to be talking about those 5 essentials to health and healing. And actually, Facebook, if you're watching right now, happy New Year and Merry Christmas to you. We're actually going to finish the episode here. If you want to tune in and get the full episode, make sure you tune in weekly on Thursday mornings for the live broadcast of the first several minutes. But you can also tune in for the full episode either on KCRO 106.7 FM here in Lincoln, 660 AM, or KCRO.com on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central or Sundays at 3 p.m. Central. You guys have a great one. Be blessed. I'll see you soon.